Hi, I'm Professor Peter Fatty, and welcome to our webinar on next level pitch recognition involving our app, our gameSense Fastpitch IQ, but also some of the drills and the other things that let you build that into a program, because that's what we're about right here on this webinar. Is not so much just the app itself. We've got training tools for that, but how you incorporate this into a full-scale training program. So the first thing I'm going to do is go through my next level clinic on that. And a nice thing about this is that, first of all, you'll have this recording to check back to, but you'll also have the slides that I use, and you're very welcome to download those. We've got a Google Drive that's got resources for you. You can download that. You can pick and choose those slides, change them in any way you want to make that your install presentation to your team or to the other coaches in your program. So let me go ahead and start with that. And if you have any questions along the line or observations, anything like that, just put them in the chat. And that's down there at the bottom of the screen. So as we are looking at next level pitch recognition, really what we're trying to do is pick up those cues pre-release, at release, and in that first third of ball flight, or even less. And I like to say that if pitch recognition can give a baseball hitter a 10 to 15% advantage, it can give a softball hitter a 20 to 25% advantage. First of all, as we know, the time frames involved in high level hitting for both sports are almost identical in the reaction time. The difference is that softball pitchers are using more of their whole body movements in order to create those pitch movements and shapes. It's not all about the release point. So if we see a locked out knee like in the upper right and the hand inside the ball, and these are things you can pick up in regular motion. Why, we know a rise ball's on the way. If we see that locked out front knee and have the sense of the hand coming over, we know that there's a drop ball coming our way, or a screwball. Basically we've got three ways that a pitch can come at the hitter. Either it's straight and in the zone. Of course, most softball pitchers and coaches will tell you, well, we don't throw a fastball. We certainly don't throw it right down the middle. So really we're dealing with B and C. That is the pitch that starts toward the zone and moves out of it, or alternatively pitches that start out of the zone and move in. You will have some pitchers who can throw really good strike to strike pitches, and then they become even more difficult to deal with. Now, what you're starting into now is fairly early in our doing this with the softball. We've been doing it for a little while with baseball, but actually my research in this, and you're looking at my original research computer, and this goes back at almost 15 years. And that was with softball. And there was a reason for that. Our daughter was at that time a high school and travel player, aspiring to play college ball, which she did do for a couple of years as a walk-on at Kentucky in the SEC. And so we developed that program. The video occlusion method that we're using means you're seeing video from the point of view of a batter. It's cut off. So you're seeing somebody here. And if you've had a chance to be in the app, and I'm assuming most of the people on this webinar have been, you know what I mean. You're seeing some video, it's cut off. You need to make an identification of what type of pitch it is and where it is in the strike zone. Now you'll see there it's a strike zone grid. We decided to just reduce it to ball strike, because usually there's not really an issue of what top or inside or outside or bottom of the strike zone that the pitch is coming. It's more, is it in or out of the zone? So what we're taking here is really breaking down just this recognition part of it, pulling that out of the recognition and action, the perception action pairing, and kind of decoupling that just so we can woodshed this and then put it back in. And that's where some of this drill and practice method comes in. We're using that to really make this an automatic skill, like math facts. If I ask you what's 7 times 6, and you answer, that's 42. Is that a correct answer? Yeah, no, that's not a correct answer, because we don't want that to be a calculation, just like we don't want a pitch recognition to be a calculation. We want it to be an association. You see that out of the hand and you know what that pitch is doing and what you're going to do with it. Tony Gwynn at some point said, my eyes see and my hands know what to do. And the way that we get to that is lots and lots and lots and lots of drill and practice with instant feedback, excuse me, and progressive difficulty. And that's the drill and practice method. Repetition, immediate feedback, progressive difficulty. So I have a pilot test with this early. People want to say, well, you know, are there any indications of it being effective? And certainly there are on whole team levels, but we're often interested in what can it do for a certain type of hitter. And so this was a really fortunate setup, because we had 4 hitters who were very much the same profile. They were all 4-year starters, all right-handed hitters, and in fact, they hit 3, 4, 5, 6 pretty much for that entire duration in the batting order. So our subject, S is the subject, the one who got the training. Over her freshman, sophomore, junior seasons combined, she had 218, 318, 346 slash line. Certainly not impressive, but she was an impressive center fielder, which is what kept her in the lineup. Now, she went through training with our whole system, where she's doing the video work, she's doing the batting cage work and all. And then we see the change to her senior year. So her senior year, her slash line was 284, 347, and 613 slugging, and the changes there. Now, when I'm saying it's a 30% increase in batting average, I'm not saying that it's 30 points. Obviously, it's 60-something points. It's 30%, you know, almost a third higher. 9% higher for the on base, which will, if you kind of are doing the math along with that, you'll think, well, that's less than the batting average. And in fact, she was filling the 6 hole most of that time, and so her job was to clean the bases. So she actually wasn't getting that many walks. But what you really want to look at there is the 77% increase in slugging percentage. And in fact, in her senior season, this hitter led the conference in home runs and RBI. Now, compared to her were 3 other players, also right-handed, hitting 3-4-5 in the lineup, not slappers or anything like that, straightaway hitters. And you can see that they had a more consistent 3-year baseline, 242, 351, 440 slash line, and showing the kind of improvement that you would expect going into a senior season. That is a 10 to 15% improvement across the board. So clearly there's a big difference between that and what we're looking at in our subject, particularly in that slugging percentage. And I want to emphasize the slugging percentage because a lot of people think of pitch recognition as being associated with plate discipline and being associated with drawing walks. And certainly making good swing decisions is part of what it's about. Swinging at pitches you can handle. But it's also about making those small swing adjustments that allow you to barrel different types of pitches. If you recognize them early enough, sinking down into the legs a little bit more, throwing the hands, or whatever it is that you as a hitting coach would teach them in order to handle that drop ball that's dropping away, or that rise ball that you're trying to get on top of. So, that's what we put into the app. As I said, you've had a chance to look at that. I'm going to go over some of the features of it in just a little bit. But here I want to continue on past the app to the things that we want to do to progress from that, so that we're not stuck in the computer on that. We want to go out to the batting cage. So here's a coach, for instance, with the direction of hit only pitches that are middle away, hit only pitches that are middle in, something that overlays pitch recognition on that. Or in the upper right, we have a hitter hitting the ball off of the tee, working on the rise ball. And so the coach on the other side of the net is going to throw the ball into the net, doesn't need to throw at full speed, doesn't need to produce a rise ball, but she's going to give her that cue. The ball hits the net, and if she's giving her the rise ball cue, she lets it go. And if she's giving it some other cue, she goes ahead and hits that ball off of the net. So it's working on that recognition in a drill type of manner. And then there's really the most important thing at all, and especially going into a fall time, is when you have a terrific ability to do bullpen stand-in. Now, people have been doing bullpen stand-in you know, since they were 11 years old. But we're doing this in a different way. And this is a takeaway you can get from here today. When we're doing bullpen stand-in, there's several things that make it a pitch recognition drill and not just a pitch tracking drill. It's great to track pitches. That's a skill you want to learn, but we don't need to retrain our eyes to track pitches. We've got something coming at us, we're going to track it. That's our natural instinct. Looking at and really seeing that ball coming out of the hand, that's not a natural instinct. And that is something we want to train. So we want to do this out in the bullpen, and it can work off of whatever the pitcher is working on. So if she's working on locating some breaking balls, that's fine. If she's trying to pair up, you know, her drop ball and her curve, that's okay. If she's doing a full simulated game, that's fine too. Whatever she's working on, you're just going in there and working on that. And a lot of pitchers like somebody to be in the bullpen. Others don't. You know, obviously you get their permission. And the instruction for the hitter is to call out, and I mean out loud, so that everybody in the vicinity can hear you, yes or no. And yes can mean whatever you want it to mean. This is where I mean set yes for the drill. So you might say that today, you know, yes equals strike, or yes equal middle away. You can be working location. Or if you're working on picking those rise balls, no is the rise ball, means you don't want it, and yes is any other pitch that comes in there. So the reason that we use yes and no and not hit or swing or ball or strike is that then you as the coach can change from day to day what it is that yes stands for. We also have them call out no, because not calling anything is not the same thing as calling no. Obviously, you know, most of the coaches are going to be teaching a go until no approach. You're swinging until you get a signal not to swing, and that's what the no is. And here's the real magic piece of it. This is what makes the whole thing work. The hitter has to get that call out, yes or no, one word, before the pitch hits the catcher's mitt. Now, they aren't always going to get it, especially at the beginning, and that's not really important. What's important is that they're trying to do that. That's what keeps them from tracking it. If they're looking that ball into the catcher's mitt, that this drill is not being done properly. When they're doing this drill properly, their eyes are right ahead to that pitcher, and they're calling out that yes or that no. And then that is also good feedback to the pitcher. You know, if somebody's calling her changeup out of hand every time, then you know, that's a teaching moment there. That's valuable feedback. Let them hear it, and it's a commitment to it. So that's important. A lot of times people want to say, well, we're just going to go in and steady something. And that's not the same level as when you are committing to an answer on that. You know, if your kid wants to pass the driver's test, you know, they're not going to say, read the manual to me, or let me read the manual. They're going to say, quiz me. Now, here's something that we can do up on a wall too. And I've only got a baseball shot of this. But this is something that people are starting to do, and in fact, we have just introduced a new mode into our program that's called Hit Station, just so that people can do this. So you see what's happening there is he's seeing the cutoff pitch and going ahead and swinging. And I'm going to back this up here so that
right there?
you can replay this.
You want to start one?
No. So you see there, he no swing, but now watch the replay of it, and we see that, oh yeah, that's a backdoor slider. That's not that, you know, that was a good take. You know, and then he's swinging, he's hitting it in time and motion. So this is something I'm looking for coaches to develop a lot more as they go along. Now, take a note down here too. 622,000 views this had within like a week or two up on Twitter, because people are saying, wow, something's going on there. You know, that's that's almost as many views as you get on cute puppy and kitten type of stuff. All right, so then we want to go over a few more of the things, and let me close that out now, and let me share this screen, which is our computer screen here. So this on the web, this is our web interface. And I'll show you in a second the iPad and iPhone interface. And really, we're really encouraging, especially the college teams, to go ahead and push toward that iPad as a platform, because it's much more mobile and you can download drills, and I'll show you some neat things about that. But, you know, here you see as somebody's logging on, an individual player is logging on, you see their past history and a library of pitchers. And you'll notice that a lot of them, they'll say like LHPF. That means that there's a left-handed pitcher flip, which means it's opposite. She's naturally right-handed. And of course, we seldom see left-handed pitchers. And so that makes them some really hard to steady. So every pitcher in here, all the ones who are naturally right-handed, are also shown as left-handed. And from a right-handed or left-handed batter's view, each one has a different scouting report. They have strengths and weaknesses. And the most important thing as a hitting coach is to get in there and get to know these pitchers so that you can suggest certain ones to certain players, either because they're struggling with a certain thing, or, you know, this one's kind of easy, you know, this other one is pretty tough. You know, there's this one that has a knuckle curve. You can start matching them up with the things that they're doing. And here's one of our pitchers who's a retired college pitcher. A lot of them are recently retired college pitchers. She pitched at really one of the very highest level programs in the country. So when we click on her, then we see all the basic drills that they do. So here's the drills first, and that hit station I'll show you later. So, you know, you've got full pitch, you've got wicked, don't go there. That's where the pitch is cut off right at the out of the hand. So let's go with the basic one. And every drill is 10 pitches long. You always start it right there. So I'm seeing, as a right-handed hitter, I'm seeing through that right-handed batter's box. I'm trying to guess what I got here. So I got, you know, this is what I guessed, and I got it completely wrong. I'm guessing one click to guess rise ball and strike in this case, and actually it's a drop and a ball. And this is kind of tricky because this pitcher will fool you on this, and really batters will say, what? And in fact, when somebody's really doing this well, you'll hear over and over again, huh? Oh, and now watch. When we see the replay, we see the full pitch all the way in. We see it a little bit wider, and you see that, indeed, that's coming out with that type of angle, and we can watch it again, and that is a drop ball. You know, and it's called a ball, but darn it, you know, that's going to be a tough pitch to hit. So, you know, that's where you'll see also up here that you have the pitch count, and that starts to enter into somebody's mind. And I'm afraid I can't do this and talk very well at the same time. All right, I'm saying that's a rise. All right, so I got one right. And there are 10, I'm going to go through these kind of fast now so I can show you how that ends. The idea is you get 10 pitches each time, and that bar going down means you'll run out of time to get it. So you're getting this constant feedback all the time. And then what we really want is that you're getting to where you see that, what that looked like this. Oh, I said it was a curveball ball, it's a curveball strike. Anytime when you're surprised by it, the player's surprised by it, they had to get that replay. Each drill is 10 pitches long. It usually takes about 1.5 minutes to work through one of those. And if you do the same pitch repeatedly, you get a different set of pitches in a different order. You might see some of the same ones. There's like 20 or 25 pitches in there, and you're going to see a different combination of those. And it'll give you a recommended, repeat the drill. Now you have to score like 190 on this pitcher to get the one that says, you know, choose a new drill, you beat this one. So you can see I didn't really come close on that. So I could hit repeat, I would get that same one. We're going to show you for demonstration purposes here, just choosing a new drill. So I could go to another pitcher, but I like to see people stay with a pitcher and you know, try and go to another drill. So really what we'd want is that you'd stay on that basic for a while, where we were seeing 1/3 of the ball flight, until you were comfortable, and then you might try one of the advanced. So I'd like to see, you know, 3 or 4 shots at this one pitcher until you get to the point where you're able to make your call on this. This is what you're trying to get to. Whoops, I didn't mean to hit strike. Obviously, that was a rise ball, because you know, very seldom is a rise actually a strike. I'm going to sit drop ball on her. Okay, I got it. Sit and drop ball. You know, and you're working your way through it like that. And so no matter how many times you do this, basically you're going to have that same thing. Look at that. I guess now, how many pitchers do you have in your leagues? Well, occasionally, if they think that you're on a rise ball, they're going to pull the string on this one and drop that change in there. everybody's going back to the dugout muttering on that one. So, you know, that's what we've got within the app. Let me go back here because I wanted to just very briefly show you this hit mode. This is where we showed you what was being shown up on the wall. And some people don't use that on a tee, but they like to put it on a big screen TV, and then you know, have the batter just stand and pantomime one. What we're doing is we're getting them off, you know, out of the computer mode. You want to do your skill building on the computer. You're building that math facts type of association, but then you don't want to try and go from right there to the batter's box. You want to use this hit zone. You want to use those stand-ins that we talk about. So here you would select the hit station. So here's that same picture, and I'm going to do the advanced one again. And now when I start this, what would happen is it'll play 10 pitches, but with hands off. You know, I'm not hitting the computer things anymore. It's showing me the breakdown. I'm doing my swing. It's giving me whatever feedback that I'm getting, you know, off of that. Now, one of the things that's important here is the coach's report. Coach's report is up here. I'm going to move is up here where it says my account. When you roll over that with your mouse, you'll see it lists out coach's report. It doesn't on this one because this is my account. I'm not a team. I'm just our one for demo. All right. But when you do that, then what you'll get is a CSV file, a very typical kind of database or spreadsheet type file. And you can manipulate this around a little bit. You see down here, like the last names are out, obviously, because this is real data. And you can move these around a bit. So I like to have this a little bit wider so you can see some of the names of these drills are a little bit longer. I don't really need to know that it's softball that's in there, so I'm going up to the top. So what I do when I download this, I've got all my particular things. I like this one, for instance. I'm going up here and I'm going to align it left. I like the way that looks a little bit more. Here's the date that it was done. And then it also says whether it was done on the web browser. That's what I was showing you, the web one. Or, as we'll see later on, where people are starting to use the iPhone and the iPad. So what you see is that Stevie on July 30th did a full pitch of this pitcher, and then tried the advanced. Now that's skipping ahead a lot, you know, going from there to the advanced, and didn't score too well, but went on and tried another pitcher again, full, and you can see that this is the same session, and this is a good session. A session should be about 5 to 10 minutes long, certainly no more than about 12 to 15 minutes. Every once in a while, you get a player who binges on this like a video game, will play it for 40 minutes. That's like going down to the weight room and doing the same lift for 40 minutes. It's just not what we want to see. So you go down through and it lists every player on your team and what they worked on. So Stevie at this point was doing a little bit of work on the inside swings drill. This is one of the specialty ones where it's not just a pitcher, but it's like all pitches to the inside of the plate. So you see here somebody was working on one pitcher. Alexis here. I like the way that she did this. You can see that she has an advanced one. She's probably used this before. Alexis, that is. So she comes in and does that. It doesn't get bad. You know, that's a pretty good score right away. But she repeats it and would get the score that says, okay, you beat this pitcher. Then she actually tries this pitcher at the wicked level, which is where it's cut off right out of hand. You know, you're going to struggle to get 200 is kind of your target score. 250 is max. What we're doing here is taking a science with the video occlusion method that's been used for 40 years in sports science research. And it just wasn't ever there as a training tool. So we have made it a commercial training tool. We're making it available. You're watching this now because you made a commitment to at least trying that. And you know, you're out there a little bit on the front edge of the wave. And so we want to hear back from you on that. And in the app, there's a place where you can send messages, and those messages are read by my business partner or by myself, or if it's technical, by our IT guy. I mean, you know, it's a small outfit, so whoever needs to see that will see it right away. So that can certainly be complaints. If something's not right, we're gonna make it working for you. But it can also be suggestions. You know, that's actually where we came up with that hit station that people could work with. We're really anxious to see what people do with that. So that concludes our webinar here. If you have any follow-up emails, again, you can use that same one, or you can send an email to me, Peter, at gamesensesports.com. If you can remember the whole thing, gamesensesports.com, Peter at gamesensesports.com. I did want to show you what this looks like on the iPad. That's the same set of drills that we have on the other one, only they're on the iPad. And the nice thing about the iPad is, first of all, it's very portable. But if you download those drills, okay, then you're not dependent on the Wi-Fi. The other is dependent on a signal. But once these are downloaded, we could be doing this on a bus or anywhere else. So we see the same thing. There's the player, and and also the players really like the touch screen. The touch screen on that is a very nice type of interface. So we're really trying to kind of move people over to that, not abandoning the other one, but that's fairly new, and that's a great way to do that. And what we come up with that the players like, and it took actually my business partners quite a while to get me convinced on this, and that's to do this on the cell phone, on the iPhone. And I thought, well, that is just too small. I can't see that, but as my wife says, they're young, they've got better eyes than we do. And so you can see that they're doing the same thing, watching the replay and doing that right on the iPhone. And so that's really great for like non-contact time, when people can do that away from the office on their own. I would say to this point, going into our second season with this, that probably 80% of the team use is, as I showed you first, on the computer with the computer app, and they've got computers in the office somewhere. But the iPad for team use is really great, and it's a free download. You just download Fastpitch IQ. Now you're going to need your login, so it's not free to use, it's just free to download. And then the players can do the same and use their regular login when they do it on the telephone. So that's what we've got for you. We'll come at you. This was kind of a whole introduction thing. We'll come at you with smaller webinars in the future when we either have some guests, coaches who are really out front developing programs to talk about. And again, look forward to hearing from you. Thanks a lot for sharing the time. Again, I'm Peter Fadde, F-A-D-D-E, like the opposite of skinny, only different. And email is peter@gamesensesports.com. Thank you.